you know about your health? Do you know about your body? Do you know what to do and how to do it health-wise? Can you live a healthy life? Can we have healthy children? This is not a luxury, you've got to know health-wise. This is health-wise. This is health-wise. This is health-wise.
Ebola is a rare but deadly virus that causes bleeding inside and outside the body. As the virus spreads through the body, it damages the immune system and organs. The Ebola virus causes viral hemorrhagic fever, which refers to a group of viruses that affect multiple organ systems in the body and are often accompanied by bleeding. The virus is named after the Ebola River in the Democratic Republic of Congo, formerly Zaire, where one of the first outbreaks occurred in 1976.
I am Adeshegun Temitope, your host on this show. On this show, we'll be discussing various health issues, but on this episode, we'll be looking into personal hygiene intensely. Personal hygiene is the basic concept of cleaning, grooming, and caring for our bodies.
Ebola virus disease spreads in the community through close contact with the blood, secretions, organs, or other bodily fluids of infected patients and animals. Ensure personal hygiene and avoid direct or close contact with infected patients and animals, particularly with their bodily fluids, in order to prevent the disease.
To educate us from the medical point of view is a public health physician, school health program coordinator of the Lagos State Ministry of Health. Please welcome with me, Dr. Monsurat Adeleke. Thank you very much for joining us on this program, ma. Also joining us on today's program is the Deputy Director, Health Education, Lagos State Ministry of Health. Please welcome with me, Mrs. Omawumi George.
Thank you.
I'm sure we're going to benefit a lot from today's episode. But before we proceed, let's take a look at this drama sketch.
MJ, come outside now. You've been there for long, huh? Okay, when you're done, don't flush. If I'm sure I'll flush. Some water. Your dad will soon be home, but I need to get his food ready.
Ebola is a filovirus named after a river in Zaire, its first site of discovery. This filovirus is usually fatal, and it affects monkeys, apes, and humans. The Ebola virus is spread through close personal contact with a person who is infected with Ebola. Oftentimes, infection in previous outbreaks have occurred among hospital care workers or family members who were caring for an ill or dead person infected with Ebola virus. Person becomes infected with the Ebola virus, the virus enters the body and begins to multiply. The virus can travel in the blood to almost any part of the body, including the liver, spleen, pancreas, thyroid gland, lungs, kidneys, skin, brain. After 4 to 6 days on average, symptoms of Ebola can begin. The period between the transmission of the virus and the start of Ebola symptoms is called the Ebola incubation period. The Ebola incubation period can be as short as 2 days or as long as 21 days.
Wash your hands before you eat, because bacteria get trapped in the palms of your hands just from touching, shaking hands, or whatever it is you do with them. When you visit the toilets, it is important that you flush before and after use. It might be your personal toilet, but you can't guarantee what happens there when you're not there. So see to it that you flush your toilet at all times.
I'm sure you learned a lot from the drama sketch you've just seen. Now, I have a question for my health educator. As a health educator, how best can you describe personal hygiene?
Thank you very much, Tope. Yeah, basically, personal hygiene is the process of keeping our body clean. It has to do with a set of practices that has to do with the upkeep of an individual's appearance, cleanliness, and general health. And it involves a lot of activities, but also I must be able to tell people that it's also different, from culture to culture. A lot of activities go into what you call, personal hygiene. But basically, it's about keeping our bodies clean.
Would the doctor like to chip in one or two things, add to what Mrs. George just said?
Yeah, basically, personal hygiene involves the caring, the grooming of all the body parts, including the external and the internal, for good, for your general health and well-being. Everybody must know that personal hygiene involves being clean.
Keeping the house and environment clean and maintaining good personal hygiene practices can be of great importance in prevention of Ebola virus.
If you're clean, it will give you better health and all of that. So basically, and it involves all the systems of the body, starting all the way from your hair, your eyes, your teeth, your skin, your fingernails, your feet, and all of that, your armpits, your body parts. That's why we said external and internal. So all of that encompasses what you need to know about your personal hygiene.
Thank you very much. And to Mrs. George, what are the personal hygiene habits that should be part of our daily routine?
Yeah, for every person, we will appreciate that we are human beings. And as human beings, we have living cells in us. And all these cells, at one time or the other, they die, they flake off, new ones are, being replaced, they replace the dead ones. So there is the need for us to actually make sure that these dead cells are taken away from the body. Okay. And so if we start to make it easy for us so that we don't miss out the point, the sequence, I think we should start to look at the whole body from the head.
Okay.
And so if you look at the head, we're talking about the hair, we're talking about the scalp. So there's need for us as men and women, to wash our hair. The hair should be washed at least maybe once or twice, in a week. Wash it with shampoo. And I think one of the major mistakes we do in washing our hair is that we wash with any soap, which is not ideal. Washing with shampoo is actually the best, for the head. Keep the hair manageable, and make sure that at least it's glowing. And those are the things that will make our, hair glow. And then we can keep away the dandruff also with shampoo. That is one of the things that it does, because, the dead cells of the scalp that is coming up, if you don't wash with shampoo and then comb out, those things stay there and they become the flakes that we see, at the end of the day. So precisely that is what we should be doing with our hair. And then let us look at the skin. The skin is the largest part of the largest organ, if you say, of the body. And, the cells keep on, coming up, and then the dead cells are there. So on our skin particularly, there are 3 types of things that we are looking at. You are looking at the dirt generally from the environment.
Okay.
You are looking at the oil, that is, secreted, by the, by the body, and you are looking at the dead cells. So those are three major things that are always constantly on the skin, and so we need to get rid of them to ensure that we have a glowing skin. So we need to have at least a shower twice a day. Twice a day at least. And for those who indulge in maybe extraneous physical activities, they can actually do it more than that, because you want to prevent body odor, you want to ensure that the body is clean, and ensure that but more importantly, in taking a bath also, we are looking at soap. Ordinary soap is good, because our people go for medicated soap. Or maybe it's out of the lack of knowledge of maybe thinking that medicated soap is better for the skin. That is not totally good. Ordinary soap, mild soap will do justice to the skin. And that also includes our face. And I have to say this particularly for those of us who have to put on a lot of things on our face. The skin actually contains a lot of pores, and the skin needs to breathe. So for the skin to breathe, the pores must be open, and that is when the skin is actually in very good. So for those of us who make up, who apply all those things on our faces, we need to ensure that, particularly at night, we wash off all this, so that we can keep the pores of the face open, and the skin can actually glow. That is it. And maybe as time goes on and we grow older, there is no harm in actually maybe using some moisturizer on the skin or some jelly. We should stay away from those creams and those things that contain those chemicals that will affect the skin. I don't know, it's not going to be big English for them, because I know the people I'm looking at, but we are looking at those creams that have mercury, creams that have hydroquinone. All those things should not be in creams when we are going to be putting them on our body. So it's very, very essential to keep your skin clean. And I think after the skin, we should be looking at our hands. Also is an important part of us that we'll look at hand washing in detail, because that is something that as time goes on, I'm sure the doctor will tell you more in details about the beauty of hand washing and how hand washing can help us prevent a sizable proportion of all those organisms that will cause disease in us. So we should be able to wash our hands, well, wash with soap and water.
Washing your hands with soap and water is a more effective way of preventing against the Ebola virus, germs, and bacteria. Hand washing has a role in preventing the spread of the disease. Regularly washing your hands with soap after visiting or taking care of Ebola patients, along with several other measures to help prevent the spread of Ebola virus.
I would like to hear from the doctor. What are the consequences of bad or poor personal hygiene?
Like what the state health educator just said, she just went through all the systems. So maybe I will just support what she says, that if you don't wash your hair, like she said, that it's good to use shampoos and everything instead of, mild soaps to get rid of, dandruff. Dandruff are those dry things that cause itchiness. Yeah. It gets very uncomfortable. If you don't wash your hair regularly, you'd have nits and hair lice. You know what hair lice is. And this can get, you can infect other people by when you share your combs and all of that. You must make sure that the combs are kept clean and dry. You shouldn't share combs with someone else. You should wash your combs and keep them clean so that you prevent, sharing head lice and all of that. So that's for the hair systems. You must make sure you oil your skin, the scalp, to prevent the dandruff and all of that. Then if I move on to the mouth, it's very important for oral, hygiene for your mouth. Everybody should brush twice daily, and you should stay away from fizzy drinks. Those are minerals, sugar, candies and all of that, because they result in your teeth getting decayed and your gums. So you have gum disease, you have tooth decay. I'm sure you've heard of caries. So all these things are things that you should prevent by what she said, like eating the right things. You should indulge in fruits and all of those things and then drink loads of water. It clears your skin as well. So those are the medical things that come with when you don't brush your teeth regularly. You can also, 2 times is mandatory, morning and night, as in last thing before you sleep. But you can also brush your teeth after eating all those sugary drinks, if sugary drinks you take, or chocolates and all of that, if you must indulge in them. It's nice when you brush your teeth And you should make sure that the toothpaste you use should have fluoride, because those ones help, to prevent all these decays that we're talking about. Then, like she rightly said, the skin, if you don't bathe morning and night, it would cause things like, ringworm and scabies. These are like fungal infections that come when they see that, there's dirt that they can live in, they can thrive in. So it's better that you always make sure you take, your bath and everything. And then, the audience we have, most of you are going to go through puberty. I mean, this is the period for that now, both boys and girls. So basically, like she had said before, your skin tends to produce more glands. Your pores are now awake. Yeah. So your oil, you produce more sweat and all of that. So in your armpit, you would notice that there are some changes that take place in the body, like more hair and all of that. So with more activity that you guys tend to do now at this age, if you don't bathe properly, you develop body odor, because your sweat glands are producing more stuff and all of that. So those would, lodge in your armpits and all of that. So that starts to smell. So at this period, you must make sure that you choose the right kind of deodorant and all of that you should use. And it's not sprays, deodorant, so that they help you, block the pores. And at night, you should bathe so that it opens the pores and then you can breathe properly. And then, at this period again, menstruation happens. You must make sure that you change towels and all of that, so that you prevent things like urinary tract infection, toilet infections that can come with all of that. So basically, these are all the and like she said, the socks, what she was saying that you should prevent in your feet is called the athlete's feet. If you don't wash your socks and make sure they dry, and you don't dry your toenails thoroughly in between them, these fungal things lodge in them and then cause things like athlete foot. So basically, I think we've taken care of the whole system.
Wow, that was really brilliant and educative. I'm sure we all learned a lot from what Dr. and Mrs. George just said. A round of applause for our guest in the house.
Hello and welcome to the precaution segment of HealthWise. Ebola is a filovirus named after a river in Zaire, its first site of discovery. This filovirus is usually fatal, and it affects monkeys, apes, and humans. Here are some prevention tips on Ebola. Avoid traveling to areas with known outbreaks of the Ebola virus. Check for any current epidemics through the news or the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention website. Practice basic hand hygiene. Wash your hands frequently using soap and water. Avoid contact with infected people. The Ebola virus is spread through direct contact with an infected person's blood, secretions, organs, and other bodily fluids. Observe infection control procedures, particularly for healthcare workers. Wear protective clothing such as gloves, long-sleeved gowns, masks, and eye shields. Keep infected people isolated from other people. Hope you had a nice time. Stay tuned next week for the concluding episode of HealthWise. Bye for now.
So there used to be a song that we sing for at least 30 seconds to ensure that we have used those 30 seconds. And it goes like this. Wash your hands well each day to keep germs away. Wash with soap and water and be healthy always. Can you join me, please? Wash your hands well each day to keep germs away. Wash with soap and water and be healthy always.